Hey everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics, and this is the Holosun EPS Carry. One of the latest optics from Holosun is the EPS Carry, which is kind of a partner optic to the EPS, which is a full-size version, even though they share the same footprint, which can be a little confusing. The EPS Carry is intended for carry-size guns, concealed carry-size guns. The word carry alone harkens to concealed carry for me. So I'm already thinking like, okay, I'm not going to do a duty evaluation on this, because something some of you may not know is I'm not a YouTuber. I teach full-time. That's how I make a living. I don't make a dime off of YouTube. I spend all my time traveling the United States, teaching classes, and I do a lot of red dot specific stuff, especially with handguns. And I have a duty testing protocol that I've been doing for almost a decade at this point. If an optic is not marketed for duty purposes, or it's not intended for duty purposes, I'm not going to put it through the duty evaluation. Now, some of you guys have seen and have been following the reviews for a while. The 2,000 round review process I generally do on a video is just a small part of that overall review process. You get to look at more of the exciting schedule of testing. I have put a couple carry size optics through it. I'm not doing that anymore. So even though I did do a 2,000 round review on this optic, I'm not putting it through the same rigors that I put a duty optic through. Why? Because I don't have to. And honestly, I just don't have the time to evaluate every single optic for video purposes. And because most of my data goes into my periodically updated white paper on RDSs for duty use, a lot of the data is going to be in there, and there is no section in that paper for concealed carry or non-duty focused optics. And I know duty is kind of alluding to professional use like law enforcement, military, and those of you who want hard use optics, you can still look there too. And I'm doing this video on a concealed carry optic. I really don't think realistically we'd expect this optic to go through the same kinds of environments or expect the same kind of potential damages that could occur incidentally through contact with the world if you carried a gun in a more professional setting versus concealed carry. Of course, there's exceptions for every rule, but that's pretty much where we're at with it. So I'm going to give you my feelings on this optic over a 2,000 rounds of use mounted on a SIG P365. So this is my P365 XL bone stock pretty much, except for obviously I mounted an optic on it and I'm running a light, because if a gun gets sights, a gun gets lights. The cool thing about the EPS Carry is it has a built-in rear sight notch for iron sights if you need it, which is good because the P365 XL, this particular iteration of it, loses its rear sight when you mount an optic on it. So if I was going to run any other optic, either I'm losing my rear sight if I need it, or I'm going to need a sight that has one built in. Point of aim, point of impact variances are going to be a thing. So this one, when I mounted the EPS Carry on it, just checking out the irons, even though it's not necessarily specifically part of the video, I did do a point of aim, point of impact check, and these things are shooting point of aim, point of impact at right around 13, 14 yards. So I'm pretty happy with that. Because if the optic works, I don't need the iron sights anyway, right? And if the optic stops working, I have the iron sights. They're going to work pretty much as well as iron sights have worked for the past 600 years, which is meh. This optic is pretty cool. It shares the 507K footprint, which is similar, but not the same, to the RMSC footprint. You can modify an RMSC to accept a 507K. 507K will automatically accept an RMSC, but we're talking specifically about this. Shares the same footprint as the 507K optic, which is kind of where they get the name for the footprint. It is enclosed. It is a super small enclosed optic. It is not hollow powered, though. You don't have the solar powered option. It is battery powered with a 1620 battery. 7075 aluminum housing. And Holosun is quoting up to 50,000 hours of battery life, which if you're using just quick math, that's well over a year, which is all I care about anyway. If I get just more than a year out of a battery, I'm a happy guy, because I'm going to change the batteries out on my carry guns pretty regularly. As far as this particular gun goes, I didn't just mount this optic for the review process. I teach with this gun quite a bit. Any class that I'm teaching that's non-professional specific, so I'm going to teach a concealed carry class, I'm going to teach a lot of that class with this gun. I like this gun a lot. It serves purpose, and let's be honest, most of the guys that are carrying concealed, they may show up with their 5-inch 2011 or their raced out Glock 34, but that's not what they carry every single day. And I always try to encourage people, you bring 2 or 3 guns, that's fine, but bring the gun you carry with the most, because you should be shooting that in the class, because that just makes more sense to me than running, you know, Safariland duty gear, belt, and running your Glock 34 when you carry something like this with 1 spare mag. I teach with this gun quite a bit, shoot this gun quite a bit. It's probably one of my favorites of the Wonder 9 subcompact double stack 9mm guns that are out there. As far as the optic performance goes, glass carry has been excellent. Dot performance has been good. I had a 507K mounted on this previously. Having the option to just plug and play an enclosed optic has its benefits. Even though enclosed optics are generally preferred for those harsher environments, rain and weather and mud and blood and mustard and mayonnaise and all that stuff that they talk about that's going to get in your optic. Concealed carry has its own concerns. You've got dead skin and hair and lint, and you know, in the winter you're wearing a hooded sweatshirt and you got all that lint just kind of collecting inside that tray as the gun hangs this way and gravity's constantly going that way. Having the enclosed window makes it a lot easier to just be like, boop, wipe it right off like there. Is it still going to fog up? The possibility's there, even though fogging is less of a concern for people who carry against their body heat than it is for people carrying in like a duty or an extended holster that's away from their body heat. When you're getting out of an air-conditioned car into the summer or out of a heated car into the winter, if it's kept at a constant temperature against your body heat, fogging is a little bit less of a concern. Reticle quality is excellent. There are a couple different versions. You can get them in red, green, reticle options, things like that. I'm using the 2MOA dot only. There is no auto adjust mode. At least I'm not using an auto adjust mode. Not necessarily something you're going to need. I'm more of a manual guy, even though Holosun, like the SCS technology, I don't believe is included in this optic. Anything I've read, it doesn't mention anything about it. Although that might be something we see in the future, because that's definitely some of the smartest auto adjusting I've seen. I don't need auto adjusting. I've lived without auto adjusting my entire red dot life, and even though it is nice to have something reliable, I don't think we're quite there yet with every single optic going to have it. And it's going to take people like myself a while to get comfortable trusting it. So just the manual adjustment options are fine. I usually find a brightness setting that's going to work in all conditions, but shooting this thing in varied sunlight conditions, spent quite a bit of time shooting it under low light, doing a lot of low light stuff, because I tend to end up on the range quite a bit as often as I can, shooting under either reduced lighting, low lighting, or no lighting conditions for night vision. Because this is a concealed carry kind of focused optic, I really didn't spend any time shooting with it under night vision. I took a quick peek just to see what it looked like. Light transmission was good enough to shoot with, but I wouldn't seriously consider this to be an optic you should put on a duty gun, even though I know people are going to do it, which is weird because Holosun literally makes the EPS, which is a larger version of this optic, with the same footprint. But some people, you know, they got to go ultra concealed and they want to mount this on full-size handguns. Cool, go right ahead. Would I put it on a duty gun? Absolutely not, because it's not intended for that. They literally say that in the literature, and it's called the carry. It's not called the duty, even though wording is vague at best. For concealed carry duty, like, you know, a detective or something like that, yeah, sure. But not everything's about law enforcement, guys. Not everything's about the rigors of banging your holster around when you're hanging it on the bathroom stall and that's how your optic got broken. Or, you know, you set your gun on the cleaning table and it fell off and broke in the station range. Or you were wrestling with a guy in a parking lot of a bar and combined body weight rolled over the holster and broke the optic. That's the kind of stuff I look for with the duty optic testing. With concealed carry optic testing, I'm not really concerned. I'm just going to shoot the optic. Because this is mounted on a P365 XL, I didn't do a burn down. I don't have enough magazines to do 500 rounds at one go. I just went through 2,000 rounds of use, varied conditions, varied shooting, my normal practice, and also teaching with the gun. I think I've got 4 classes at this point where I put at least 200 rounds through it per class while I was teaching, because when I teach, I don't shoot as much as the students shoot because they didn't come there to see me shoot. I shoot what needs to be demoed, and that's pretty much it. But for my own personal practice, obviously I've fired 2,000 rounds before I made this video. Been very happy with the performance. Included battery does suck. I think Holosun is going to be going to a more well-known, more reliable name brand battery to include with the optics soon. But the battery I got with it died within a couple weeks, and I've had that happen with a few Holosun optics in the past, so I just throw a Duracell in there, which is the only battery I would ever put in an optic, and I just keep on moving. Duracell have been consistently the most reliable batteries for, well, recoil mitigation or recoil performance, being able to handle the rigors of recoil on handguns, especially these smaller slides versus the bigger slides or rifles. But Duracell is just the way to go. So I'm going to keep putting Duracell batteries and things, and Duracell makes a 1620, so there's now a 1620 Duracell battery in there. How do I feel about the optic? Well, you can co-witness or see through the window with standard height sights. I know that's going to be a big selling point for a lot of people. I'm pretty sure, at least with this filming this video, it is the smallest subcompact focused enclosed optic on the market, and that's probably why they went with this footprint. Some people have asked, well, why didn't they use this footprint or that footprint or this footprint? Well, this footprint, the screw wells sit really far back, and you're kind of married to the footprint. So if you're going to make an enclosed optic, you have to have room to create an enclosure, and this is something I'll talk about in the EPS video. You'll probably see that next week. That's why they go with this footprint, because it allows them to still create an enclosed optic and have a screw down mounting system. Because the big concern getting away from open emitters to enclosed emitters is, are they going to be backwards compatible? Some of them are going to be, some are going to require plates, some of them aren't going to be. So the future of optics may be relegated to the legacy footprints based on if they can create an enclosed optic or not. If you think about an RMR footprint, or some of the other footprints that are out there that are screw down designed, they may not, that screw wells may sit too far forward in the footprint for them to actually be able to create an enclosed optic, because you've got to have the ability to put the screws in the optic to mount it. As of right now, this is hands down my favorite concealed carry focus optic. I still love the 507, don't get me wrong. But this is, at first when I heard about it, I was like, yeah, do I really need that? And then I saw it, and then I mounted it, and then I shot it, and I'm like, okay, every gun I have that I can put one of these on, I'm probably going to do that. Don't get me wrong, there are other good concealed carry focus optics out there, but none of them as of now are doing or offering what this one is offering at the price point it is offering. As far as durability goes, I know some people are going to bellyache in the comment section. I didn't do the normal drop test, I didn't do the burn down, I didn't do the one-handed manipulations, even though I've done quite a bit of one-handed manipulations with it because that's part of my normal practice. I didn't film it. It's concealed carry optic, guys. I'm not going to be doing Hondo rolls on the range with it, at least not as a matter of practice. The duty testing is for optics that are geared and focused and marketed for duty purposes. So if a company is going to step out and say, we want cops to use this and we want military to use this, that's going to get my attention. That's going to get me to buy one, and that's going to get me to see how well it performs. And I want all optics to get good. Unfortunately, not all optics are, but what a great time to be alive, because they keep getting better. We keep getting more and more options that are out there. So the question of what's the best optic to carry now has more than one answer. It's coming down again to preference. What optic is going to fit your needs, your lifestyle, the gun you chose, etc., etc., etc. At a reasonable cost point, you're getting an enclosed optic, great battery life. You can change the battery without removing the optic. There's pretty much only a few optics left that still require that nonsense. And you've got reticle options, reticle color options that you can purchase based on which model you get. So if you're looking for an optic for your Wonder 9, your compact or subcompact 9mm, and you can get behind the 507K RMSC/footprint, I would highly recommend the EPS Carry. I'm Eric here with Sage Dynamics. Train accordingly.